countries that we are working with. In this case, Israel and Georgia, because no one knows the diversity of the population as the people living in those countries. Well, perhaps the most challenging is the need for this instructional design, the need for these designers to be sensitive and responsive to these cultural differences, and understand this complexity of instructional context to educate their students effectively. And sometimes this is even more challenging when we have different groups with different needs and we want to adapt to the same course. So you will see some of this later on. So our project is the main aims and objective is to promote this inclusive education, or at least we hope so, through ICT and e-learning in both Israel and Georgia. And we hope to widen the access of higher education for potential or even existing students from any vulnerable group that has been identified, like minorities, religious minorities, ethnic minorities, refugees, student workers, or even people living outside the large populated areas. So the objectives of our project can be seen in our webpage, lovedistance.eu. And basically, we want to help build capacities in Israel and in Georgia to accommodate these effective distance learning programs, to develop curricular offers in both countries, and to facilitate the accessibility to teaching and learning materials specifically for these target groups. We hope to coach faculty members and for them to coach their colleagues afterwards to implement then quality assessments, and also raise public awareness to these topics, and last but not least, facilitate the transfer of best practices to expand this access and successful completion of distance learning programs. So this can only be done with a good network of partners. And here we have European partners and both Israeli and Georgian partners. From Europe, in Portugal, Porto Polytechnic, and also Funiver and Vigo University from Spain, and the Cluj-Napoca Technical University from Romania. From Israel, the Inter-University E-Learning Center, so MEITAL, Lewinsky College of Education and Ono Academic College, and from Georgia, Ilia State, Batumi State, and Tel Aviv State Universities. So now my colleagues from each institution will share with you the work that we have been doing in the past year and a half, and you will see how deeply rooted this work is within each country and within each community. So I hope you enjoy the session and that we can have a fruitful discussion and hopefully share some experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. That was a great introduction. Now we will hear Funiver, one of our dearest partners from Barcelona, which will present their work related to emergent pedagogies in online learning. So Thomas, are you presenting?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes? Yes. Okay. I will share my screen. Okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, I have some issues. Okay, now. Okay, now. So thanks, Alona. Thanks, Angelo, for the presentation. I'm Thomas Prola. I'm a researcher in education. Funiver is an Spanish organization, and we are participating in the project as leader of the work package 2, which is a work package related to technological development. So I will talk about emergent pedagogy and teaching competencies in online learning, some contextual elements, and our first step or our first development in this project related to Love Distance Toolkit. So my colleagues from the Faculty of Science worked also on this document. So some contextual elements. Technology in education is not new. We are talking about technology since a lot of years in education. For example, as say Mecklenburger, the school is also a technology of education. That's why when we talk about technology, we have to thought about this 3 point. Technology is also an ideology. With the technology is coming all an ideology. Ideology is a Trojan, technology, sorry, is a Trojan horse. When we said Trojan horse, ICTs come with an ideology. And we used to talk about persuasive technology. The technology has sometimes deforms the humanity, and the use of technology in education is imposed for economic reasons sometimes. For example, in South America, we are working a lot in South America, and they are developing a lot of state plans in order to impose the technology. So another point, a new kind of learning is emerging on the web. Is it really a new kind of learning? And there is another question, a very interesting question, how people is learning with digital technology. We are observing the development of technology in education and some new kind of learning related to the web and related to the technology. We are talking about smart learning. How is learning with digital technology? Smart learning is a new paradigm related to how people is learning. And we can say that smart learning is highly situated and authentic, adaptive and responsive, learning-centric, self-directed and empowering, highly personalized and customized to the individual, interactive and dynamic, seamless and highly contextual, collaborative, interdependent, and highly social. These 7 points related to smart learning should give us some pathway for implement, for develop a new kind of education. So in this context, new pedagogy are emerging on the digital space. We are talking about emergent pedagogy from Spain. Ale and Castañeda, our colleague from Valencia, developed this concept. The emergent pedagogy are observed as new path for the pedagogical approach to digital technology, and we need, and this is, I think, an important work for our project, we need a methodology in order to systematize the use of ICT in education. Our current challenge related to our project, we have 2 possibilities. ICT as, or consider the ICT as a technical tool. This is a traditional way to see technology in education, with a technical focus on education, with a learner which is passive and receive all information, and with a teacher who uses ICT to explain the knowledge, as we said, an explainer teacher. And for another hand, we have, I think, this possibility, ICT as a pedagogical tool, pedagogical focus on learning technology. And this is from FUNIVER and from our project. This is a very important work that we are developing related to these questions: smart learning environment with an emphasis on the students with customized learning who transform the information in knowledge, and in another part consider the emergent technology. And the teacher in this scenario is an actor of educational transformation. We usually say that the teacher lost his importance since new technology were developed, but we think in our project and in our pedagogical development, the use of ICT in education need a professional to recover a place as a pedagogical experts. So in order to integrate ICT into the classroom, the teacher should develop a tutorial role based on 3 key aspects: the construction of the student's relationship with the technology, teaching how to deal with the huge volume of information, which is a big problem in this historical moment, and work on other ways to present and organize the information. Technology as a new educational paradigm is an opportunity of education for all. This is a question, but I think is. That's why in Love Distance we develop as a first step in our projects related to the work package 1, Love Distance toolkit, and defining domains of competence for the teachers. Pedagogical domain, the first domain, obviously, design and planning, technological and technical domain of competence, social and communication, contents. When we say content, is how to develop content related to, for example, a topic, management, and inclusion, accessibility, and diversity. So this is a list of competencies. This help us to organize in last November 2020 the first training of trainers, divided in 3 main topics: teaching in virtual learning environment, video recording for educational purposes, and finally creating of virtual learning environment, how to create. This training was organized for teachers, but also for administrators in November 2020. This is our presentation, very short, but because we don't have any time, I think I'm okay with the 8 minutes. Thanks for your attention, and thanks Alona and colleagues. And now I'm very happy to hear my colleagues to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you very much. The training, of course, we all participated in, and it really helped us with our pilots. So the next presenter will be Eli, which will present a short review of ICT skills needed for distance learning, emphasizing the needs of marginalized populations. Eli, please.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us at the conference, MEITAL conference. It's a long day with a lot of sessions, but we have a special place for this one. It's a large group of people that work together to promote the learning technologies and in our case, the ICT report that we mentioned. I like to share with you some points that we have results from the survey that we had. And we learned, just before that, I will say a few words and then we'll get into some details. But the report itself will be published in our website and on the project website, so you can go through that. We try to figure out during the pandemic, it's actually during the pandemic, but it was parallel to the project activities. we try to understand what the ICT challenge that students have in different institutes. And we like to see from the institute point of view, and to make and try to understand how institute can support and help students with some gaps or ICT challenges, how they can help them. So before that, we understand that there is students in the 21st century needs digital literacy and skills, what we call the competencies, the digital competencies, and they need tools to be part of the courses or go through them, and actually the content during the pandemic and before that, some of the content and most of the content are online, and they need some skills to work and have their ability to go through that. So we had a survey, as I said, and we tried to ask a few questions from the institute point of view, and to see how institute first, what the gap that they think there is, and the other one is what kind of solution that they have. We ask them, we have a survey that we share with some colleagues, and there was around 19 institutes that answered this survey. And we ask what are the difficulties and what do you think that online learning, is it depends or reduce social gaps? And I think more than 52% or around 52% of the participants mentioned that they think it reduce, make the gap more, deepen the gap. And there is some challenge for, there is lots of challenge for students that don't have any competencies or digital skills. And we ask another questions about if what about the content? If there is any access for the content that students can have or share or use in a better way. And again, there was another issue that said that more than 26% that there is a big gap or big difficulties for students to use that. And I think the most important issue that go out of this survey, that there is difficulties with internet accessibility. There is some people that don't have laptop in some cases, cameras, microphones. They still have some difficulties with the equipment, and there is some digital literacy skills and some self-management learning that they don't have any ability for that. We learned that there is still in some cases, and it's very relevant for this project, that there is some gaps that related to the culture and the language in Israel, for example, and some other places, I believe in the world, that they have the same issue with here is the religions group, or maybe Arabs, that they have some cultural language and difficulties. And this is bring another layer of challenge for this population. We ask the partners for another, what are the solutions for them? And there are some good ideas about it. I think the most important output from that survey is that we need to support those groups in a special group and try to have unique content for them that they can share their challenges and try to support them in a way that we will be that we will be kind of support team for them in the universities and in the at the universities. And some other issue that we have from that it's in some cases to help them with some tools and technologies, and in other cases that there needs try to find those groups before they have large challenge or complicated with the courses, and to try to help them before that, actually to try to recognize them before they are part of the, sorry for that. So that's, I think that's the output from this this survey. We will do two things about this survey and share it with you. We'll summarize everything that we got and have this report. And the other thing is that we would like to see, after a few months of activity in the at the universities and during the pandemic, to see if something changed and to have a follow-up survey and to see if we have any other results about it. Maybe the gap is smaller. Maybe there is some courses that are like Ono and Levinsky will mention later that are actually support these groups and help them to have a better solution or better opportunity to bridge the gap that we are talking about. So this is just the highlight from the survey that we have, and I think this is from our side for now. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eli. Thank you very much. And it's great to have you on board in this project. Now we will hear Ono Academic College. They will present the learning support platform developed according to principles of equity and inclusions. And I would like to invite Tzipi, who is at the heart of this project, and without her, this project wouldn't have been able to be launched, and my personal mentor. So Tzipi, please.
Thank you, Alona. Look how luck works. We just met by chance. I sat next to her at lunchtime, and here we are. So never let a moment skip your attention. See. I'd like to share the screen for the presentation we have prepared on the work and the thoughts we have at Ono Academic College. I'd like to talk not about the courses that we are preparing, but rather about a system we thought should accompany these courses. We're developing 3 pilot courses and are going to develop the 4th as well. But I think one special thought is the students learning just spoils my 3S initials, so I put learning in a parenthesis. Student support system. Of course, there is a very large team working on it. It's not me. I'm even maybe the smallest player there. We have here Eyal Leifer. Eyal, can you wave, please? He's the heart and maybe the push of this. And we have Arya here, Arya Foreign also, and we have Judy here. Judy, she's also a part of the team. And many others, as you can see. So we work very collaboratively together and put our heads into it. Now, just let me, just a second. I can't see my slides, so just a second. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see. Do you want to be in a presentation mode?
Yes, I want to be in a presentation mode. Just a minute. Let me stop share for a second. And then I'll share.
No, it was fine. It was fine. Just do the presentation mode.
No, I mean, I could not.
Okay.
Okay, now let me see if I can share. Sometimes it gets overlapped the screens, so I cannot really see what I'm sharing. Okay, so now, yeah. Can you see my screen now? in a presentation mode?
Yeah.
All right. So the motivation was what we learned from students, especially from students who have difficulties in studying, usually coming from having some gaps in their background regarding learning, etc. And we heard that they had difficulties in organizing learning times in online learning. This was the starting of the Zoom era, and there was a big riot and dissatisfaction among students, especially among students with the difficulties in learning. And they pinpointed several things, such as difficulties to organize, challenges to harness self-discipline, and deficiency in student lecture communication. So we thought, why not have a system that will support students' learning? So the system should assist students in organizing learning tasks by time periods, what I should do today, what is recommended for next week. The system should provide a visual, easy to comprehend dashboard. So a student can just load this dashboard, or it will pop up every time the student logs into the system, showing the student their achievements in learning progress, what they have accomplished, and what are the backlogs. So this and other things should motivate students to complete assignments on time. And finally, communicate the students' progress to the lecturers, so lecturers can go back to the students and find out what are the reasons for the lagging, if there is any, or on the other hand, compliment students that are doing very well or improving, etc. So we drafted a high-level requirements document with the following principles underlying these requirements. First of all, flexibility. The system should not impose on the students, but let them schedule and reschedule assignments. It should not be rigid, because we know rigid systems are annoying. The system should be customizable, so they can even shut down the system's notifications or not use it at all, so it will be friendly. Ease of use is a well-known construct of intention to use, so the system should be easy to use, self-explanatory, no training requirement at all. It should be generalizable. It should not fit a certain type of course. For example, there are courses that are very structured with chapter 1, chapter 2, or topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. Others are more flexible, maybe have 2, 3 larger topics. Some courses have strict tasks at the beginning, mid, and end of a topic. Some have maybe mid-term. So the system should be generalizable, and fit many types of courses, as well as simply integrate into most common LMSs. So it is not targeted into any certain learning management system. And finally, we want it to be free to use, open source, non-proprietary, free to all, but also programmable. So this really points to Moodle, but maybe not only. We are going to develop maybe a demo, a small demo on Moodle. We have a high-level requirement document.
1 minute to go.
That, yes, that currently has about 12 requirements, but the main ones are the possibility to schedule assignments, customizability on behalf of students, a dashboard, and a backwards communication to the lecturer of students' achievement. And we also had some graphical sketches. Eyal was responsible for this. Thank you very much, Eyal. For example, this is one option. Some of us thought maybe it's too detailed. So we had another one that's more graphical and less detailed. And we are still contemplating and arguing and thinking about what should be displayed and exactly how. So this was my last slide, Alona. And of course, we are open for suggestions. One of the ideas is to have students comment on the requirements and suggest, as well as maybe staff members, and you, of course, our highly appreciated colleagues in this project. So if you want to comment, maybe in the discussion session, maybe later, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tzipi. That was really interesting. And now we will hear from Levinsky College of Education. My colleagues will present the pre-pilot and 3 pilot courses designed and taught according to emerging pedagogical principles, emphasizing inclusion and equity on the Moodle Learning Management Platform. So please, Gali, Dganit, Sharon, you're most welcome.
Alona, I think Dganit will share the presentation. So if you can make, yeah, great.
Wonderful, thank you. You can see.
Hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So hello, everyone. As Alona said, we'll present you the pilot courses at Levinsky. And as you can see, there are many contributors to these pilot courses. I was invited as the head of the MEITAL, the Counseling and Support Center in our college. My name is Dganit. I think I met some of you last time. And in our center, we deal with students with various needs like cognitive needs, sensory disabilities, and special populations like ethnic minorities. And we will present you the needs of the students from special population in online courses. The challenges that we are all talking about in our pilot courses are based on analysis and of qualitative and quantitative data. And as you can see, there are many challenges. One of the challenges is lack of personal tie with the lecturer. When you don't see each other face to face, it is very difficult to tie personal ties. And it is very difficult to tie social connections with other members of your classroom. Some of the students say that there's a lack of resources for distance learning. For an example, in a survey with 352 students, although most of them said that they have adequate resources for distance learning, 8% of them said that they don't have computer available for learning, as we heard before, Ellie said it. 15% of them said they don't have high quality internet. 33% of them said they don't have a quiet setting for learning. So it is quite a challenge for them. Difficulty in self-management, it was mentioned before too, like time management, or where are my tasks, how to go into the Moodle. Many difficulties in self-management, emotional difficulties, accessibility issues, how to go into the Moodle, how to reach the lecturer, where is his email. Cultural differences, as Ellie said before, there are religious students with different ethnic identity, and so. And language barriers as a result of the different ethnic groups, or sometimes even as a disability. So what do we do? In our center, we use 2 guiding principles. One of them is the Universal Design for Learners, UDL, as you all know it. And I think that the technology can empower the accessibility to everyone by using technology in this UDL principle. It has 3 basic principles: provide multiple means of engagement, provide multiple means of representation, and provide multiple means of action and expression. And if you heard Bank this morning, he was talking about ask your students to produce, ask your students to engage. This is exactly the UDL for learning. Another model that we really think can help our students is the social emotional learning, SEL. I guess you all heard it because it is very spoken this last year. In order to advance educational equity, we have to create a nurturing, caring, and safe environment for our students. We have to integrate self-skill building into academic instruction whenever possible. We have to communicate early, clearly, and often with all our students. We have to teach self-skills through explicit planned instruction, and we have to support students' confidence in their academic and emotional lives. Gali.
Hi, so I'm going to continue and taking all of these difficulties and all of these elements into account, as well as our own unique populations at Levinsky, how do we create online courses that are both effective, because we do want to teach something, we have academic standards, but also equitable? So following the needs assessment stage, the Erasmus Plus seminars and the Funiber workshop, thank you for that, we constructed one pre-pilot and 3 pilot courses at Levinsky using the Moodle platform and based on the principles that Ganit has just shown us of SEL and UDL. This is the pre-pilot course that you can see in front of you. It included 51 students of diverse backgrounds and needs. It was delivered both synchronously and asynchronously. It offered close personal support and a safe yet socially active environment, and was centered around topics that were relevant to the students' developmental stage, they're mostly in their 20s, with colorful design and a strong element of choice. They had to choose 4 out of 6 topics. Each unit presented knowledge in diverse ways, including listening, watching, and reading. And assessment contained both speaking and writing. So under each icon, under each image, there were 4 activities, a video, a text, and a writing and speaking task. And various tools were used, TED-Ed, Padlet, Kahoot, and others. In the next course, this is a course taught by Vicky Cott, who's also with us. This is English for Academic Purposes. This one also put a lot of emphasis on motivation. She began with a motivational video synchronously shown and discussed with students to create a kind of safe and supportive environment. This course also put a strong emphasis on scaffolding and explicit teaching of strategies for academic proficiency, combined with gamification, breakout rooms in every lesson. The teacher was also, Vicky, was also highly accessible through various channels. The next course is an important course at Levinsky. This is Dr. Or Margalit's anti-racism course, which relies on the same principles of SEL and UDL, but this also has anti-racism and inclusion as its main topics. The central image, as you can see, emphasizes diversity, and 4 languages are used: Hebrew, English, Russian, and Arabic, in accordance with the students enrolled in it. This course also offered close support. As you can see, these are the 2 lecturers, or at the top, and his colleague on the bottom. And they offered both academic and emotional support through a life-saving icon, which the students can click on and receive help. The course was both synchronous and asynchronous, using videos, creative group work, and a variety of assessment tools. The last course I would like to present is Rachel Hess-Green's course in mathematics. This was designed especially for a unique group of 20 ultra-religious students, most of whom are working mothers. So the course was both synchronous and asynchronous in order to allow them for more flexible time management. It offered close support and a constant tracking of the students' learning process through personal contact and online interactive exercises and videos created by the lecturer. So finally, based on our experience, we would like to suggest the following key words when designing equitable online courses in order to promote learning and to decrease dropout numbers. A strong emphasis, I think, on a safe and supportive environment for all, and a close tracking of students' needs and their learning process. Thank you very much. That's all from us.
Thank you very much to Denit and to Gali and to Sharon, who was in the background preparing the presentation. So now we will hear the Georgian side of our project, and we will begin with Yaakov Gogashvili, Tel Aviv State University. We will just switch the order. Tamar, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yes, I finally managed to enter. It's the advantage and disadvantage of online approach,
Yes.
because I'm at the same time on different face-to-face meeting, by the way.
Really?
But I meant, yes, so the other colleagues are waiting for me, so I try to present what we've done, what we feel regarding the project. Can you give me the chance to share the screen?
You can share the screen. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Just a minute.
You can see. Just
okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah. It's great.
Okay, so good day. Good day. I'm for those who don't know me, I'm Tamar Aslanishvili, head of International Relations Office of Tel Aviv State University, and represent the institutional coordinator and manager of EU-funded project Love Distance. In today's presentation, I try to give you the overview of students and lecturers' ICT skills and competencies in Georgia. On the case of 3 project partner Georgian universities, Ilia State, Badumi State, and Tel Aviv State University. Okay, I will give you what I'm going to talk about. I will introduce what are the state mechanisms to make the university to support the distance learning components, share the existing situation before pandemic and before our Love Distance project. In the partner Georgian universities, talk about the aim of the survey and that was conducted in the frame of Love Distance, and share the survey analysis of all 3 universities and offer you conclusions, what we really concluded and saw after the analysis of our project. Our survey. One of the most important factors of the development of higher education is information and technology infrastructure. With the use of information technologies, age, geographical, and other social barriers in education can be virtually eliminated. The recent pandemic illustrated well the necessity of enhanced ICT skills for both educators and students. According to authorization standards for higher education institutions in Georgia, every university should have very well-developed technological infrastructure and should provide sufficient service to students as well as teaching staff. So the institution should offer professional development courses to its academic and administrative staff that can be trainings, workshops in using different technologies, both in teaching and learning processes. All higher education institutions have to go through the assessment procedures that examines the existing capacity of the institution regarding different criteria, and after that the institution is gaining the right of functioning. All 3 universities represented in the consortium have very many tools that support students and staff to get acquainted with the ICT skills to master it. Here I combined all the tools that we universities are using. These are mandatory courses part in the existing curricula. Techniques of academic course, information technologies. Then almost all are using learning management system. Ilia State is using Argus, and all the tools represented here are all universities are familiar with the all these stuff that is presented in this slide. And moreover, the university administration offers trainings, various trainings that are elaborated in the frame of different EU-funded projects we already have in the funded by the EU Commission. These are DARE, Integrity, and Printel. With this reality, what I've presented here, all the three universities met EU-funded lab distance project. One of the deliverables of the LMS was finding out the students and academic staff ICT competencies. The questions of the survey we are elaborated together with partners from Israeli and together with European partners, and we distributed that questionnaires to students and staff to find out their skills in the ICT in general. The report describes the current practice of 3 Georgian higher education institutions regarding student ICT skills and competencies. All the data we collected in April and May 2020, and students had 2 weeks to fill out the form that was sent to them. Different number of students and staff became the respondents from different universities, and due to the size of participant universities, that was reasonable and acceptable for us. For example, from ISU, we had 703 response, from BCO 3 to 7, from TESAU 212. The majority of students declare that they have personal computers at home, but some percentage really indicated that they don't have at least one computer at home. Being a developing country, not all the families afford to buy computers for their children, although some of the students are having part-time jobs during their studies, and their salary, what they are getting, is spent on their living expenses. We also asked about the accessibility to the internet to our respondents. And it turned out that less than 20% of our respondents don't have internet access at home. This can be explained with 2 major reasons. Due to the geographical locations, not all the villages and peripheral places are equipped with the internet connection. Besides, families with lower income can't afford to pay the monthly fee for the internet. Unfortunately, these students are facing the problem that they can't attend the synchronous classes and only participate in asynchronous activities by using friends' houses with the internet connection. As the university is providing Gmail accounts to all students, we asked them if they use them on a daily basis. And as it's shown on the diagram below, most of the students stated that they use emails for communication. In addition to the email communication, they are able to use the Google Drive and Google Classroom in the classes that require the usage of the following tool. Most students say that the university offers them courses to master using computer skills. Those who deny this, there is a small doubt that they have not studied these courses yet, because all courses consist of obligatory ICT courses. So, due to pandemic, we decided, in order to access the existing situation regarding these competencies, to explain the outcomes of student surveys, we also conducted a depth interview with faculty of administration staff members of our universities. Due to pandemic, the interviews we had done online in the beginning of September. And together with the faculty members, we tried to find out the major problems they are facing regarding the usage of technology. And also we asked them to comment on student ICT skills as well. The majority of faculty members stated that even though they had lower competencies in using technological solutions, they managed to transfer all classes into the virtual environment. From the ICT perspectives, the easiest was to use video conference tools to conduct synchronous activities. Some of the teachers find it difficult to identify the proper medium for asynchronous activities, and the tool they chose depended on the activity itself. The biggest challenge teachers underlined during the interview is the time spent on getting familiar with the tools and the necessity to find the right solution for their activity. As they stated, due to the high risk of academic misconduct and cheating, they try to diversify the activities. Thus, they need to think of different ways and tools to make assessment components very carefully. All teachers highlight the fact that not all the students are able to participate in the course activities, not because they don't have ICT competencies, but because they have the problems with accessibility of the computers and the internet. They state that majority of the students found it easy to navigate through the different tools and activity, participated in the activity, both synchronous and asynchronous. They believe that this generation is digital natives, so they have the basic skills of ICT. All three university management helps lecturers to overcome the challenges posed by online learning as much as possible. Training is conducted systematically, and online instructors are placed for working remotely for both academic staff and students. So students, with the help of IT department and also with quality assurance services. For lecturers who don't have computer at home, for example, from Tel Aviv State University perspective, university provides them notebooks for them for temporary use to qualify the teaching process. Relevant services of the university try to manage to communicate with students of special population to provide administrative assistance with video conferences and individual consultations. So additionally to these activities, information letters are published and the hotline of IT is functioning very well. Of course, there are very many other interesting questions and replies that I wanted to share with you, but due to the time limits, it's impossible. So if you are interested in more details, we can share the detailed situation analysis upon to your demand. So to sum up the survey results, we can conclude that all three Georgia higher education and partner institutions, university students and staff have the appropriate ICT skills to face the new programs and software that Lab Distance is introducing to them. So I tried to be very short. So thank you for your attention. If you have some questions, we are free to share the survey results.
Thank you so much, Tamar. That was really interesting, and sorry that there's not much time, but luckily we're just before the lunch break, so we can have a few more minutes. So that's fine. Right. So the next presenter will be since we switch the order, Ilia State University, and Giga, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alona. Good afternoon, shalom. So it's my pleasure to be here with you and share some perspective from Ilia State University. As you all know, Ilia State University is a part of this project, and almost every activity has to be done locally at our university. But today, what I want to share you is the outcomes of the analysis of the students and lecturers' perception about the distance education, but with an eye on academic misconduct. So as Tamar mentioned, we conducted this survey in all three Georgian partner institutions. And so here I just listed some findings which we discussed previously as well. So the biggest problems in case of Georgian students and academic staff was the accessibility to personal computers and even smartphones. So we faced cases where in a family with 3 or 4 children, they had only one computer or one smartphone, and the students or pupils had the classes at the same time. So this causes problem in terms of attendance. Also, the poor internet connection what was problem in the regions, because the country is not covered that well with the internet connection. But some of our students from the target group, the students from the ethnic minority groups or religious minority groups, they mentioned that they do not have enough space from preparing homework. This is connected to the tradition of the Georgian families living 3 or 2 generations at the same house. So it means that students do not have enough space to being alone and to prepare the classes. So as for the teachers, they mentioned that the time for planning and designing online classes, that takes a lot. In terms of designing activities, assessments, forms and criteria, and preparing educational resources, and also the lack of interaction during the online classes was named as a biggest challenge. But this, I have to mention that the data was collected last year, in April 2020, just the beginning of the pandemic. So this is something that we need to take into account. Here, I just want to quickly show the outcomes of the survey with one question, whether the students prefer online classes or not. And as you can see, in our case at Ilia State University, the majority of the students, 60%, they say that they do not prefer online classes and they prefer face-to-face model. And also the next question, which was interesting, that the question was online teaching makes me feel satisfied. And as you can see, again, the majority, almost 40%, responded that they do not feel satisfied with this kind of method. I think that this was the biggest challenge for our case, because after the pandemic, not only the teaching was designed in online way, but everything was converted to this way, and this caused problems. I mean, the new reality. But here I also listed the outcomes of the survey, not survey, but in-depth interviews with the academic staff. And as you can see, so they say that it's quite time-consuming. So they need much more time to search and choose, prepare the resources and activities, design the assessment forms, and etc. Now, also, the majority of the academic staff says that the cheating is the biggest problem that they face during the classes. So I really want to highlight this. So after these surveys and analysis, the biggest, the number one question what we got from this was, how can we ensure students are doing the assessment or assignment by themselves? And how can we minimize the risk of cheating in higher education? So this was something that I want to quickly highlight here. These are the cases that we faced at our institutions, and not only at our institutions, but in the countrywide. I would say that beside the plagiarism cases that we had before the pandemic, now we saw the different types of academic misconduct, and this can be the sharing information into social media groups, and that is the number one in Georgian reality. Also asking for support to another person. We even met colleagues of ours who are teaching at the university, and they were offered to pay by students to write the exam. So that was something that is very also the making the screenshots of the questions during the exams and during the quizzes, and this causes problems in terms of question banks if those questions will be used for the next exam. Contract cheating is something that we had the cases of contract cheating before the pandemic, but now you can easily notice or the groups and this person promoting themselves into the social media with the price lists even. And also trying to avoid similarity detection in writing assignments. So although the universities are subscribed to similarity detection softwares and they try to minimize the plagiarism cases in writing assignment, but still there are some I would say some YouTube guides for students how to avoid plagiarism and how to avoid this similarity detection into that softwares. So what is the new reality at our institutions? So what did change? The types of academic misconduct and the forms of detection and the ways of preventing of these cases. What did not change is the code of ethics, mechanisms and procedures that are not that are still the same as they were before the pandemic. And what shouldn't be changed is the quality of teaching and learning. So this is the realities that we are having now. And as for the final slide, I would like to mention how can we minimize the risk of academic misconduct in this situation. So the number one is to inform the students about the mechanisms, tools that we actually have and that we can use in order to decrease that number of the misconduct into this new reality. Also agree on the netiquette in advance even before the course is starts. So we need to explain our students and we're trying to explain our students what is the assessment criteria, how will be they assessed, and etc. Also diversify the assessment methods, and even all the guides are saying this, that try to diversify the assessment method, do not use only one type of assessment. Also offer students support services that can help them to support them to prevent these misconduct cases. Provide individual timely feedback that is crucially important, and also use the different function of LMS depending on the what LMS the institution is using to decrease these numbers. So I think that was all that I wanted to mention here. Thank you for your attention. As for this survey, that is also uploaded into our project website. If you would like to go in deeply, then you can find this survey report uploaded into the project webpage. So I'm staying here to respond to your questions if you might have them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Giga. And the last presentation will be Batumi State University. Nino?
Yes, I'm here.
The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody, once again, from very warm and very sunny Batumi. It's my pleasure to be here with you, to see you all. It's a pity that we are still online, but we'll hope for the best that we will soon have the opportunity to have live sessions too. For the next couple of, sorry, I will share the screen, and please, can you please confirm that you can see the screen?
Yes, we see.
It's okay. Well, thank you, Vika. Okay, so for the next couple of minutes, I'll be talking about equity access and democratization policies in Georgia higher education. I'm presenting, so the presentation was prepared by Batumi Shatarusteli State University project team. But this is the joint report. So because the survey was planned and carried out by all three of us, so Ilia State University, Tel Aviv State University, and Batumi State University. So this is a kind of joint report. And for this, I would like to thank you, Giga, thank you, Tamuna, for this comfortable cooperation. As for the official statistics, we got it from National Bureau of Statistics of Georgia, Ministry of Education and Science of Georgia, and National Center for Quality Enhancement, and of course, so our results of our survey. Very briefly, general information how our highs work. So first of all, types of higher education institutions in Georgia. So there are three types: universities, which carry out studies on all three levels, BA, MA, and PhD. Technical teaching universities, which offer only BA and MA, and colleges, which offer only BA studies. As for the for now, in total, there are 60 highs in Georgia, and from them, 80% are private and 20% are state. As for the location, mostly they are located in Tbilisi, in our capital, and of course, only few are in big regional cities like Batumi, Kutaisi, Tel Aviv, Zugdidi, Gori, or Akhaltsikhe. Tuition fee, it is fixed, like 2,250 Georgian liras for state universities. It's approximately 650 euros, but it varies at private university. They have different fees. After graduation, so how student starts higher education. So after graduating from secondary schools, they need to pass the national exams. It is run by the Ministry of Education, and there is also a possibility for students to get state scholarships for the study studies, and I'll be talking about it a bit later in details. But of course, the number of scholarships are always limited. The academic year normally lasts for 30 weeks, and students get 60 credits in a year. BA studies last for 4 years, MA for 2 years, and PH from 3 to 5 years. Well, in order to get authorization from the Ministry of Education, each university has to go through the authorization and program accreditation process, which is run by National Center of Quality Enhancement. The group of experts come to the university and they check the capacity against the authorization standards. And it should be mentioned that in 2017, we got the new standards were introduced to us, and the majority of our universities got the authorization. Well, now affordability and major forms of higher education financing. Well, so there is a rule of distribution of state education scholarships in Georgia, according to which study funding is allocated for accredited BA certified medic, dentist, veterinarian educational programs. Amount is maximum 2,150 GEL. Also students enrolled as a result of the unified national examination can use the grant in the conditions of the competition. It depends on the scores. There is also MA scholarship, the amount of which is also a maximum amount 2,250 GEL, and its acquisition is conditioned by the unified MA exam competition. In Georgia, it is also possible to obtain a social scholarship, which can be obtained by a representative of socially vulnerable family and internally displaced person living at the border of a conflict region or in high mountainous region, a person from a family without a breadwinner. Of course, selection is through competition. Besides, any Georgian citizen can also obtain tuition funding with the help of the private sector. Azerbaijanians, Armenians, Ossetians, and Abkhazians can obtain funding on behalf of a representative of an ethnic minority as citizens of Georgia with a special quota of ethnic minorities. Some private companies also provide scholarships to students coming from ethnic minority. For example, Azerbaijani Gas Corporation Soccer is providing these scholarships to students coming from Azerbaijan. There are also priority education programs in Georgia, and they are fully funded by the state. So they are like agrarian sciences, education, engineering, and humanities, and other interdisciplinary fields. As for annual quotas, yes, and no funding. According to the funding system in Georgia, it is impossible to obtain state funding for employed students or according to religious minorities or religious ground, and students living away from the city. Now accessibility. To what extent can citizens access higher education? So Georgians
have 1 minute.
Yes.
1 minute.
Okay. I will try to be very brief. Okay. So they have the Georgian citizen who has the secondary school certificate has the right to become a student of Georgian educational institution after overcoming the barrier, which is stated by Center of Unified National Exams. And for ethnic minority students, we have kind of 1+4 program. For 1 year, they have intensive course of Georgian. So this is statistics due to these programs, how the numbers of enrolled non-Georgian language students by years is increased from 2010, you see 247, and for 2019, more than 100 and about 1,400 students. Well, as for participation, we have here statistics who and how also of people or citizens with incomplete secondary education. Here you have, for example, 24 of respondents. So I'm talking about the minors, which is related to ethnic minority groups. But also we have citizens with higher education degrees with BA, MA, and special master's diplomas. Well, as for quality, National Center for Quality Enhancement, so that ensures the quality of teaching and learning, and it is called kind of external quality, works like external quality mechanism. And of course, there are internal quality mechanisms on university and faculty level. As for ICT, so my colleagues and especially Tamar talked about it, so I won't take much time, and since we are really short in time, so I had our survey results, how it works, and what kind of situation we have in Batumi, Tel Aviv, and Tbilisi. So yes, that's all. So this is just the summary, what I have already talked. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you very much. Now, I'm really, I don't want to burden our audience because I did prepare a Mentimeter 2 question survey, but I think that we are all a bit, it's too intense. So I will just show you. And if you want, you can participate later on. Just one thing for I have a responsibility for MEITAL, and the responsibility is to send a link to a survey about the session. And I will just share the screen. And if you would like to respond to the survey, I would be more than happy if you could do it. I'll just share the screen. Nina, can you release the screen, please? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, right. Right, so if you would like to enter either through your phone or through Menticon with the code, I would really be happy. Can I go to the Mentimeter screen? So this would actually be the first maybe question that we can discuss, and feel free while we are accumulating the responses to respond to this and maybe elaborate. And we will do it really shortly, just 2-3 minutes, and then go to lunch if anyone wants to comment. So I can see the technological aspect. the learning aspect, the social emotional aspect, maybe the cultural aspect, for example, language. This really corresponds with what we discussed in the session regarding the needs of marginalized populations. So, and then the next question would be, sorry, and the next question would be, just 1 second. Right. I'll just share the screen again. Next question would be, what would be the most needed feature for promoting exclusive distance education? We also heard about that in our session. We heard about self-regulation aspects. We heard about addressing social emotional needs. We heard about monitoring. So I will conclude with that because I think that we are well into the break. I apologize that there was no time for discussion. I really want to emphasize the importance of this project, and I would like to thank each and every one of the participants, the institutions, but first and foremost the people, because that's what makes this project so wonderful. So thank you all, and with that we will depart. Thank you very much. And for the project members, hopefully see you in Batumi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alana. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
There is a link in the chat that goes to Wonder. If you like to join us there, you're welcome. Just to chit chat and discuss.
Okay. Yeah. I'm so lucky to have you, Eli, in this session.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you all.
Bye.
See you soon.
Hopefully.
Georgia.
Not online.
Not online, on the beach in Batumi. Okay.
Exactly.
Bye.